Max, it was your turn to feed the pony. This is your fault.
I know. He eats too often anyway. Come on, really needs food every day.
Max,
Come on.
it's a pony. It's what they do. And because of you, he ate our tape. And now we have to do the episode over. Do you know how hard it's going to be spontaneous again?
I know. I don't know why you insist on using oat-flavored recording tape, but okay.
Hey, I got a good deal on that stuff, and don't you blame me for the oat-flavored tape. You did that before, and it just broke my heart.
Oh, Lord. All right. Don't cry. You'll screw up your voice for the show.
Yeah.
All right, let's try it again. Maybe nobody will notice, especially if we don't tell...
Oh. Are we rolling?
The little red light's on.
Damn.
Oh. Well, we're not doing this a third time. Let's just keep going.
There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
This is an emergency. Everyone must panic. Refrain from being calm. There is a giant dingus from outer space on the edge of town, and it is a total threat to everything we hold dear. We just saw it eat a wrecked car, and now it's making art. This is a total attack on our way of life. There is nothing we can do to stop it, except, we must sacrifice ourselves in this little town so that the rest of us will be safe. We can't have our ideas warped by this beatnik-loving giant robot. Everyone duck. Cover. The bomb is on its way. Only then will we be safe. Only then will we be Max Mike Movies. Does this plot sound familiar? Well, if it does, it might mean that you've seen this week's movie, The Iron Giant. If you haven't, well, I can't help you. Or can I? We're in the middle of our series, Oh No, a Giant Monster! And we're trying to decide... We're still trying to decide if this movie fits the mold or not. Speaking of mold, here's your host, that Max of all Levines. Max, knock it off, Mike. Levine, what do you have to say for yourself, Max?
I'm budding and releasing spores as we speak.
I know, and it smells so lovely. And me, I am just your co-host. Mike, stop hitting me, Max. Loose. As usual,
Never.
We'll get to our movie in a minute. Up next, it's our favorite segment, your answers to our... Poll question. Last episode, Max asked y'all what movie monster you thought was the most fun. We got a few answers here, so let's get to them, shall we? Over at the Facebook, we have Dave. I still have no idea why we do that. He gave us...
No.
just
It's fun.
Sure, and Dave loves it, I guess.
Yep.
He gave us, quote, has to be Mothra because of the peanuts. Also, there's
Mothra.
Which don't sound
Sorry,
anything like
couldn't
that.
help
I know you can't.
They totally sound like that. It's flawless.
Yeah, I wish you were. Also, there is a mystery that comes from the time it was a giant egg, and the changing form works well. At least in the original. Have never wanted to see the remake, as I don't think one can improve on the original, end quote. The Peanuts, for those who don't know, were twin sisters from Japan who were in a singing group of the same name, and they sung the Mothra song in the original movie, just like Max just did. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I remember them. One of them would hold a football, and the other one would try to kick it and then pull it away.
Moving on.
Had a dog who thought he was a...
Max?
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah?
Thank you. Do you want to be fired this week?
Well, why change now?
Jen Ings was next with two answers. Quote, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And it's from TV, but Bebo from Legends of Tomorrow was funny. End quote. I hadn't seen that, but they provided a clip.
I hadn't either.
Have you never seen it? It's very funny, actually. So
I'd seen some Legends of Tomorrow, did not know Bebo, and now I'm glad I do.
Not like Peebo, is it? Wasn't that thing from Clash of the Titans? Or no, wait, that was the singer of...
No, that was Bubo.
Bubo, right. Peebo was Peebo Bryson, and he sung a version...
Well, also
Never mind.
Also Peepo, the robot from...
Space Academy.
Of Star Command. Space Academy,
Space Academy. Boy, oh, dear. Let's get out of that hole. Dr. Lauren Buxbaum, who's giving Doris Hempelmeyer a run for her money, offered, quote...
And remember, she is a doctor.
Quote, I thought that Godzilla was really fun in Bambi vs. Godzilla. He reminded me of the Keep on Trucking Grateful Dead icon, end quote. Thanks, Dr. Lauren.
Yeah.
On Bluesky, we had Ben Schleiss, who answers, quote, not sure it is a monster, but I think the Iron Giant, end quote. Well, Ben, we have the most amazing coincidence to report to you. Thanks.
Who'da thunk?
Apparently Ben did. Swinging over to the website, where the cold winds blow...
Cold, cold, whoosh, whoosh.
Really? That's the... I suppose I should have expected it.
Perfect recreation of the Arctic.
Yes, the Arctic, yes. Anyway, where the cold winds blow, the clouds never part, and the Canadians write us in hordes... Well, there's one anyway. Vince, tamer of the tiger tank, despoiler of all things evil, posted, quote, I have to say, Gamera is the most fun because of my association of him and my mom, who would always scream at anyone who didn't know who he was, but he is the friend of children. Friend of children indeed. Thank you, Vince. And don't forget, he's full of meat. And keep despoiling evil.
Yep, and he's really neat. And Vince, your mom sounds really cool.
Yeah. And lastly, we have our hotline where... Gee, I wonder if Max gets a date this week. The way the little red light is blinking,
please.
that can only be his pal, Doris. Let's listen.
Hello, Mike Max Movies. Hi, Max. This is Doris Hempelmeyer. You know, Max's little cabbage flower? Yeah, listen to that, Dr. Lauren. I didn't hear him call you that. Just me. Anyway, I am here to answer the poll question, which happens to be, what is your favorite, most fun kaiju? Well, how did you even know I had some? Well, I do. I have two. One, of course, is Gamera because, you know, it's a turtle that flies, and it's got this fireball shooting out of its feet. That's got to be really cool, right? It spins around and stuff. And then, of course, Mothra, because they got the two little ladies that sing, and it comes out of this giant cocoon, and there's big worms that spit, you know, the silk stuff. That's just fun. You got to admit that's kind of fun. Kind of like me, huh, Max? I'm the fun one, not Dr. Lauren, right? Have a good week, guys. Now see you next week. Look forward to the next one. Bye.
Well, another vote for Gamera and another one for Mothra. Seems we have a tie. Thank you, Doris.
Yes. Thank you, Doris. I'll thank you properly later.
That's revolting. Please stop. That's all we... Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
The light's blinking again. Seems we have another last-minute addition to the hotline.
Oh, cool.
I wonder who that could be.
Hi, this is Julia Roberts. Yes, that Julia Roberts. I just had to let you know how much I love listening to Max Mike movies. Well, especially Mike. Oh, that voice. He just sends me. Anyway, I don't have an answer for this week's poll question. It was something to do with monsters. But anyway, I just had to tell you how much I enjoy the show. This is Julia Roberts saying goodbye and keep up the good work, Mike.
Wow, we just got a call from the real Julia Roberts. I'm just...
Yes,
wow,
Julia Roberts
speechless.
Calling us. That was without question the movie star Julia Roberts.
Real
that's
Julia Roberts.
Exactly what she sounds like.
Oh, I can't believe she likes our little podcast. How kind of her. What a sweet voice she has, doesn't she? Oh, thank you so much, real Julia Roberts. Gee, I hope she calls again. But Max...
the headaches come back. Yeah.
Isn't it nice to have one instead of just cause them?
Yeah.
What giant monster do you think is most fun?
Well, I always had a couple. One, I had a kind of soft spot for Guiron because he's the guy who looks like a butcher knife. That's pretty much it. His head is a big knife blade. Again, I said this before. He's like a little kid making up a monster on the spot. Oh yeah, my monster has a head that's a knife and shoots throwing stars out of holes in front of his ears and can jump through the air and chop people. But really, I gotta say, I gotta say, it's
You were a weird kid.
That's what they kept writing on those letters they kept sending me home with.
Pinned to your coat.
No, but I gotta say, I thought the most fun visually, just because it's the monster that always made me go, huh? Was from Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, Biollante.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Biollante.
Who is based on
flowers?
Yeah, it's kind of part rose, part Godzilla, part hentai fantasy. I'm not sure. It is the weirdest looking monster, but I thought it was really memorable. What about you? Who's your most fun?
Oh, I'd probably go with Gamera. Gamera's so dumb. I mean, it's a turtle. When it pulls its legs in, fire shoots out the holes, because that makes sense.
Again, another kid description of a monster.
Well, and it's got those giant tusks, because, like turtles do with their teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And,
turtles known for their tusks.
And, of course, he breathes fire, like turtles do.
If they eat a lot of curry, they might. I don't know.
But also just because it is such a blatant, cheap knockoff ripoff of Godzilla that it's like I swear they snuck in at night and used the same sets to have their fights on. So, yeah.
That Gamera wasn't Toho Studio, was he?
It was Toei. Which
I
is
didn't think
one of the
so.
other
Toei, okay.
Yeah.
All
Or,
right.
to be fair, I don't know how one pronounces it. That's, Toei.
Okay.
Take your pick.
Ah.
We're only missing you at this point, but whatever. But as always, thanks for your answers. We love getting your perspective. And this time, especially real Julia Roberts. This time around,
she didn't even answer.
I know, but she meant to. In her heart, she did, and she's America's sweetheart. So this time around, we'd like to know, what's your favorite animated film? The ways to answer are myriad and mysterious, and will come at the end of the show. But for now, let's get back to the Iron Giant and
The facts.
budget $50 million. Take a non-gigantic $31.7 million. Hey, some of those bucks were mine. Yeah,
me too.
This movie has a number of origins, which we'll get to in turn. One of the more poignant ones comes from Brad Bird, whose sister was a victim of domestic violence, shot to death by her ex-husband.
Geez.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
It gets better. He wondered, what if a gun has a soul and didn't want to be a gun? Which I think shows up. We'll talk about that.
Man.
Another origin is that of the book this was based on, written by Ted Hughes. He wrote his book partially as a way to comfort his children after the suicide of their mother. Wait for it.
Oh, gee. Oh,
Sylvia
man.
Plath.
This was written by Sylvia Plath's husband, or the book was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the third origin is the most interesting of all. Pete Townsend of The Who made a concept album of Hughes' book, The Iron Man, and then developed it as a stage musical. Producer Des McAnuff, who helped Townsend develop the play, decided that it would make a better animated feature. This is why Townsend's name appears with an executive producer credit. The plot of the movie deviates wildly from that of the book, which should come as no surprise. In the latter, there's no contest between government and robot. Instead, there's a giant continent-sized being from outer space that drops onto Australia called, I'm not kidding, Space Bat Angel Dragon, that the Iron Giant must compete with to save humanity.
Wait a minute. You made that up.
I did not. It is hyphenated Space Bat Angel Dragon. You have to say it all together.
Space Bat Angel Dragon. Okay.
But all together. I didn't hear the hyphens. Yeah. So turns out that that whole conflict was a misunderstanding. It's really peaceful and sings the music of the spheres, which can lull humanity away from its warlike ways. So, yeah. Deviates wildly.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel, who voices the Iron Giant, had a lot of work to do in this film. He speaks exactly 53 words. Whew, hard day at the booth.
Hey, that's way up from his I am Groot.
That is true.
1, 2, 3 words.
Wait. Well done.
I learned counting.
Of course, you misquoted him. What you meant to say was, I am Groot.
No. I think it's I am Groot.
No, it's I am Groot. Oh, well, someday, Max.
I am Groot.
Sometimes you just gotta push. For the scene where Hogarth is in the wrecked car and the Iron Giant is making him fly, Brad Bird had to literally shake voice actor Eli Marienthal to get the proper tone.
Oh, he could get shaken child actor syndrome.
Apparently it went well. I mean, I believe it. The low take for this movie is placed directly at Warner Brothers' feet by Brad Bird. He said that the promotion for this film was basically too little, too late.
Yeah. I remember almost no ads for this movie.
Yeah, same here. Speaking of Brad, this is his first time in the director's chair for a feature film, but he's best known for all those Mission Impossible movies. Oh, and he might have directed some animated something somewhere here. I don't know.
No capes, darling.
Well, don't forget Ratatouille, too, which is one of the only Disney films where a villain actually has a redemption arc, which I got to give him a big hand for. If one wants to count ahead, Hogarth would be 77 years old right now. Yikes!
I didn't need to know that.
Believe it or not, there is a Rocky and Bullwinkle nod in this film. When Hogarth goes When Hogarth goes to the roof of his house to adjust the antenna, it's clearly been bitten off, just as the metal-munching mice did in a series from the Bullwinkle show.
The metal-munching moon mice.
Yep.
Oh, God, I forgot that.
Yep, it's totally for Rocky and Bullwinkle. And honestly, if you haven't watched Rocky and Bullwinkle lately, do yourself a favor, because it's still really funny.
Rise and shine, I can't even glow dimly.
Hey, you demons! Anyway, we never do find out why the giant came to Earth in the first place. In a scene cut before release, we see that the giant is part of an actual race. He's not just a machine, and he was running away from rampant conflict. And probably tons more, but Max, do you have anything to add for the trivia part of this segment?
No, you think you covered everything I know and more.
Well, let's get to that pesky plot. It's 1957, it's Maine, it's fall, and a giant robot plummets into the ocean off the coast of a little town of Rockwell. A ship's captain... Again. A ship's captain, caught in a storm, claims he's seen a giant something from outer space, but no one believes him. Hogarth, a young boy, suddenly notices some odd things around home. His TV antenna bitten off, some large trees in the nearby forest broken and scratched in weird ways. So, being a precocious young lad, he goes to investigate. And what does he find? Why, a giant robot from outer space. It's trying to eat the metal surrounding a power substation when it accidentally bites the wrong thing. Hogarth to the rescue! He flips the switch, a surprisingly singular and unguarded or unfenced switch, and saves the robot. This begins a friendship where the giant learns about humanity and Hogarth gets a big pal. But things are not all peaches and cream. A government agent has been sent to investigate, and he is totally going to get to the bottom of this no matter what. He soon tracks down Hogarth and moves in with the family so he can secretly grill the boy about what he's seen. Meanwhile, Hogarth is trying to teach the robot how to be kind. With the help of a local beatnik and junkyard owner, Dean, it seems he might have a chance. Until Agent Mansley finds the evidence he needs to call in the troops. Soon the army is there and, holy cats, there's a giant robot! Shoot it! Shoot it! Hogarth and Dean plead with him to stop, but it's too late. Threatened, the robot defends itself with mega weapons and ray beams and stuff. The only way to stop it is to nuke the robot and, the town it's standing in.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Can Hogarth convince the robot and the army to just calm down for a minute and see reason? Or is everyone in Rockwell doomed? The answer may surprise you, true believers. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Stan.
The film.
So my usual question, Max, did you see this when it came out in a theatre?
I did. I actually went to the theater to see it. No thanks to any ads. Somebody told me about it. I don't even remember who. Today, you ought to want to go see The Iron Giant, which I replied, what's that? Or, that sounds disgusting, or...
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was, and I saw, hey, the poster looks cool. Why have I not heard of this? How about you?
The thing is I misremember where I saw it, because I know I wasn't living in Boston at the time, but I remember seeing it at the Harvard Square, and I know that can't be true.
Yeah.
So I did see it in the theater. I don't remember what caused me to see it, except... To be fair, back in those days, 99 through 2000, all the early part of this century, I used to go every Friday. There would always be something to go see at the theater. Man, do I miss those times. Yeah. And I'm sure it was just a case of, hey, this looks cool, let's see that. But I too don't remember anything leading up to it.
Yeah.
But we have a cast here to talk about.
We
and
do.
Of course, it's a voice cast, but that doesn't matter. We can still talk about performances. We'll start at the top bottom, because he is the shortest member. Eli Marienthal, who plays Hogarth. He's a child actor.
Yep.
What did you think?
I think he does a really good job. He's, a kid, and he's, slightly precocious, but he's not obnoxious, and he's not annoying. He's not, he's a little whiny at times, but so are, kids can be that way, so can adults, but he never got on my nerves, and that's unusual for kid characters. I think he's really well done. Eli, by the way, is probably better known to modern audiences as Stifler's younger brother from the American Pie movies. Yeah, that's him.
Okay, he's a Stifler.
How's that for a legacy?
And I think could be worse.
I think that's his character's name is Stifler's brother. It's like Jennifer Coolidge is Stifler's mom. They don't get names.
Yeah, well, she's got it going on.
Yeah,
I agree. I think he's got just the right level of gee whiz and believability, and I'm going to totally take charge of this, and even though I don't have any idea what I'm doing, because I'm the only one who could possibly understand what's going on with a giant robot from outer space.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he does a great job, and often this is one of those parts that can easily just go very, very badly. And he does have to carry a big chunk of the film, so good for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr. is Dean McCoppin, the beatnik of the town.
Oh, I got it right here. Which we know him from Independence Day.
Among other things. He was also, I think, Memphis Belle, and I hear he sings too.
That too. I gotta say, he sounds like I figure a beatnik would sound. He's got a good voice for that.
He just doesn't do enough, man, hey man, dig it, man. He's not, but
I
that's
kind of
fine.
like that because he's less of a stereotype.
Well, also he's a beatnik in a small town in Maine.
True. Yeah, he's not gonna talk like it would in the village.
I get beatnik quarterly, so I know how to dress. Jennifer Aniston as Hogarth's mom.
Oh, yeah.
I would totally never have guessed that was Jennifer Aniston.
Nope. She disappears into the role. She doesn't get a lot to do.
She's
it's a pretty small
mom.
part. Yeah, pretty much she's worried mom, but she does a really nice job, and gotta say the way she's animated is kind of hot.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Wait. You had things for animated Annie or? Animated Annie.
Yes. There were certain cartoon women who kind of did it for me. All right, don't judge me.
For me, it was Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, we don't kink shame on this show.
Vin Diesel as the Iron Giant. Sure,
his most complex role. I mean, I don't know how much it had to be Vin Diesel, but
I'd say not at all.
But he does a decent job. I mean.
Sure.
He does have to get through some emotion through that growling, and I think he does it. I think he's fine. I think
he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He does what he's supposed to do, and he's not too Vin Diesel-y.
Yeah.
James Gammon is Foreman Marv Loach. Honestly, I don't remember who the character was, but I'm sure he was fine.
And talk about a waste.
Cloris Leachman is there for, I think, 2 lines as a teacher.
True, I thought it was 1, but good Lord, you have Cloris Leachman, you give her 1 line? What is wrong with you?
Hey, maybe she got paid really well. Good
Brad!
Yeah, I think there was some actual deleted scenes with her, so she recorded more. But,
I hope so.
I mean, to be fair, did we really need more with the teacher? Probably not.
No, but you could have given her a different part. Anyway.
We have Christopher McDonald, who is one of those actors you're like, I don't know that name. And then you look at his face, it's like, yeah, he's been in, let's see, everything.
He's that guy from that movie where he played a jerk. He plays a lot of jerks. He often does, hello, I'm Whitey McRichman, or I'm the evil developer who's going to knock down the orphanage.
And by total coincidence, the day after I watched the movie for this show, I went over to my buddy the Weasel's house, and one of the films he wanted me to watch was Happy Gilmore, and there he is.
Yeah, there he is.
So yeah, he does great as Kent Mansley. I think he does exactly what he needs to do, and he's fine, and he's a jerk.
I gotta say that when I started watching this again, my first thought when I heard him, I didn't remember that it was Christopher McDonald. I thought, oh wow, I didn't know Tim Allen was in this.
Oh really? I didn't.
I think he sounded a lot. All I kept thinking of, wow, it's Special Agent Buzz Lightyear.
I didn't get that, but that's okay. Yeah, he's good at what he does. I hope he's a really nice person. I really do.
I bet he is.
Then we have John Mahoney as the general, and quite honestly, I think he's perfect.
He is. I want every senior member of the armed forces to sound like John Mahoney. I would follow him into any battle.
Yeah, he was great. Emmett Walsh, who when you hear his voice, you're like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
He's another, that guy from that thing. Yeah.
I think the thing I know him best from is he plays the police commissioner or whatever from Blade Runner. But he has been in, he's got one of those giant IMDb lists that people just wish they had. After that, we have a bunch of people that are in the background, and it's fine. But
who are listed usually as additional voices.
Yeah, some of whom have little pictures and some of whom don't. But yeah.
I want to give a shout out. I don't know who it is, but at one point Hogarth is watching a cheesy 50s science fiction film about brains, which, by the way, has one of the best lines in the movie, where a perfectly good brain, wasted. Whoever is doing the voice of the hero, basically Dr. Chunk Slabjaw.
He is totally channeling John Agar, I swear.
He really is. And it's perfect. He gets the crappy delivery just right. He gets the overly melodramatic, bordering on absurdist dialogue.
Wait.
Right? It's amazing.
Do I smell Roger Corman? Yeah, it really was.
I detect the liver-spotted hand of Roger Corman on this, yeah.
Well, and I gotta say, too, even though this is 57, and quite honestly, that film he's watching has been out for maybe a year, that to me was like the most like my childhood in this entire film, because I used to sit there and watch these things on Creature Double Feature, Channel 56, WLVI TV, Boston, when I was a kid, and we'd love to see what comes up, which science fiction film, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Yep.
I agree. So whoever you are doing John Agar,
well done. Yep.
So yeah, decent cast.
Yep.
So this is a Warner Brother animated feature. Which is both weird and in a way kind of sad, because Warner Brothers did some of the best humor animation from the 30s through all the way through the 50s and the early 60s things. Suddenly, apparently, this is the story. I don't know if it's true. Warner Brothers found out, some executives said, oh, we make those Mickey Mouse cartoons, right? And they were like, no, we make Bugs Bunny. And he's like, what? Really? We don't make the Mickey Mouse ones? Shut that down. And that's...
God, really?
Yeah, theatrical cartoons and shorts were going away anyway, but they obviously had stopped really giving them much money or whatever by that point. But Warner Brothers has made a bunch of feature films. I have a little list here. I have a little list.
And none of them be missed. Anyway.
And some of them where I was like, oh, that was them? Like the first one. The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Oh, God. Oh, that was them.
Yeah.
Of course it was. I should have known that the animation style of the fish is pure Warner Brothers.
Yeah. But also, then we skip a few decades. We go to Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. And, of course, Warner Brothers Animation was in charge of the Batman animated series, which was very good.
That was amazing. Yep.
Space Jam. See our entire episode on Space Jam, which... To be fair, people like, and I guess it did okay. I guess it did okay. I don't think it did that well, but
it wasn't spectacular. That's why it took 90 years for the sequel.
Yeah, that's later on the list too. Cats Don't Dance. There's one that a lot of people have. I'd say a lot of people haven't seen it, and it's kind of too bad because while I wouldn't give it an A, I would give it a solid B. And the animation, kind of like it is in this film, and we'll get to that, is obviously done with love. The animation is really beautiful in Cats Don't Dance. Quest for Camelot, which I don't remember at all.
Oh, I've seen clips of it. It's supposed to be horrible.
It tanked. And it was one of the reasons that after Iron Giant, they're like, we're not doing any of these for a while. Luckily, they'd make a big comeback with Osmosis Jones. See our entire episode on Osmosis Jones.
Which looked really cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is the animation's always good. It's the stories that aren't always good. Looney Tunes Back in Action, which I'd totally forgotten about. Brendan Fraser.
Dear. I think I've mentioned that there's really only one sequence in there I thought was funny. They end up in a secret government base. It's supposed to be like Area 51. And all what they have there are monsters or creatures from old science fiction movies. There's Robbie the Robot. There's the Martian Supreme Intelligence. And Kevin McCarthy shows up holding a giant seed pod.
Okay.
And he's in black and white and just mumbling, "You're next. You're next. I know. It's okay."
Oh, Kevin McCarthy,
That
right
was
off
funny.
his big scene in UHF, but
Yep.
a number of views.
But otherwise, that movie is terrible.
You know, they did a lot of Batman films. Apparently, they were in charge of the Lego movies, but I'm not sure if Warner Brothers
no
Animation did that or they just released it, so I'm not sure.
Those are great.
I got some throwaway films like Smallfoot, which I don't remember at all. And then some films I'd like to not remember, like Scoob, Tom and Jerry, and Space Jam: A New Legacy. But I got to say, I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks back. If you haven't seen it, they did a new Looney Tunes film, which is usually, that makes me cringe. Yeah. But The Day the Earth Blew Up is really funny.
It's actually funny. I didn't think it would be. It is.
And the animation just feels like old Warner Brothers Looney Tunes animation. So, and apparently next year, we're going to be getting the Acme Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner film. So
I hope so. I
think it's just sad because it's obvious that the people who are animating 2D for Warner Brothers really, really love what they're doing, and I think it shows. And do you think it shows in this film, in Iron Giant? How would you say the animation works?
Absolutely. I think the animation is gorgeous in this. I think the background settings are terrific. I think the character designs are really good. They go for some realism, but not hyper realism. I think the design of the Iron Giant is great. I gotta say, when he's in full, death mode or Death Star mode. He is the coolest thing in this movie. Oh my God. That's the best part. I know it's terrible because I kill everyone now and then I kill everyone who gets in the way of my killing everyone. But he looks so cool. He looks like the Martian tripods plus Gigantor plus Cthulhu. I don't know. It's a great design. It's a shame it's on for such a short time.
Well, funny you should mention the Martian tripods because there is part of them as a direct nod to the War of the Worlds film from the 1950s.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I believe it.
Well, he is also one of the most, if not one of the first, good mixes of CG and 2D animation because he is obviously modeled in CG, but they specifically made the lines a little jiggly so that it would look more hand-drawn. And good for them because you do notice that he is very well rendered, but it doesn't stand out in a bad way. There would be times
it doesn't take you out of it at all, and sometimes they do. There are times in movies you go, there's CG, and it disrupts the story. This I don't think did that at all.
Yeah, and some of the animation, especially the open, is really beautifully done. We get this, from outer space view when we go through the eye of a hurricane and we get into this storm, and the storm is really just beautifully rendered. At certain points, I will say maybe the animation isn't quite to the level of Disney, but it's literally like a hair under. It is really well done. And again, you know that these are people who loved what they were doing. It wasn't just, I got a paycheck, so here's Hogarth's 3 drawings for today. So, yeah. I do have to have
Hogarth isn't going to move his mouth when he talks.
I do, God, no, he talks off screen.
That's it. He talks with his head turned away.
What if Coleman Francis directed Iron Giant? Oh, but that's a deeper and don't look it up.
Yep,
Although I have this soft spot for Beast of Yucca Flats because it's just so dumb. Anyway, I have a question for you, Max.
Yes.
Who calls their kid Hogarth?
A parent who hates children. I don't know. That's a terrible name, and I think that could qualify as child abuse. Maybe later they'll call him, I don't know, Garth. But
Hoagie. He's a sandwich.
That unfortunately is more likely,
Oh, Hoagie Carmichael, right?
Carmichael. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's the only
name
Hoagie
one other.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, was his first name Hogarth too?
I don't know.
But it is kind of a really lump of a name, isn't it?
It's a bad name.
Hogarth. Hogarth. It's like you're trying to get something up that's been stuck in your...
Yep. It's a hairball name. Poor kid to live with that.
Yeah, well, he is meant to be a little bit of an outsider. Although, here's the thing about the outsider part of this film. I'm not sure how true it rings because it's not like he's non-athletic. It's not like he's too brainy. It's not like he's any of the other things that in the 50s would ostracize him. The only thing I can see that might make him an awkward kid to be around is that his dad died, which is...
Well, no, the other problem is he's small for the class because he skipped a grade.
Because he's smart. Although I love his explanation of it. He's like, I'm not smart. If you just do the homework, you could go ahead and grade 2.
Yep.
He's not smart,
Yeah,
he's just practical.
But he is smart. He outsmarts an admittedly not terribly competent, but an FBI agent or CIA or whatever the hell he is.
Well, outsmarts. It literally comes down to, no, I didn't. What? I know what you're talking about.
He fools him into thinking he's still in bed with the brilliant disguise of a fluffed pillow. Ha! It's flawless!
Well, quite honestly, he fell asleep and he saw what he expected to see. I think the one that gets me, though, is the, hey, don't notice when I sprinkle X-Lax on your sundae. And
that's mean.
That is some potent X-Lax. That stuff lasted all
Really?
through the night.
Hey, some of those old 50s laxatives were really, really powerful because they hadn't quite got them yet.
They were nuclear.
And some yes, they were with healthy radiation. Yeah. This is I do like how 50s this is. Well, there's a lot of this.
I was going to say, one of the things that I like best about this that's very 50s is the kids are being shown a public service film titled Atomic Holocaust.
Oh, God. And it's perfect. It's like, has duck and cover. It has, there could be a nuclear attack at any time. Yeah. But if you hide under your desk, you'll be fine.
Well, and I love how the kids are all just like, yeah, whatever, another film. And then the bomb goes off and suddenly they all sit up and their eyes are saucer sized. They're like, what's going to happen? And I don't have the heart to tell them, but it's like, kids, you live in Maine. Nobody cares.
Yeah. No, nobody's going to be aiming over there. No. But I also like how Dean's reading a newspaper and the headline is, Disaster Scene as Catastrophe Looms.
Just before he gets hit by the tidal wave.
Yep, very, very, very 50s.
But and one of the biggest other things that here is for the 50s is Sputnik. And Sputnik was a major source of anxiety for people because nobody knew what it could do.
They didn't know what it was. It's a satellite. What the hell is that? Well, it's floating around in space up above us. What if it, poops on us or something?
Well, it's spying on us. And the fun part is, looking back at the technology of the time, my guess is that for the size of Sputnik, because Sputnik is not very big, honestly, all the electronics in Sputnik can do is this. Beep, beep, beep. What does that mean? Nothing. It just beeps. It was just to get it up there.
Pretty much just sending a signal. That was it. Could it send and receive a signal?
I don't even know what it did.
Pretty much all it could do.
Yeah, I guess maybe I haven't looked into what it was, but people didn't know, and that's quite honestly what kicked us into the space race and going for the moon was well, if they got space, we need the moon, and to this day, we're still the only country that had put people there, and with the latest space missions, maybe that's a good thing because it's getting kind of messy up there, but yeah. I will say, too, there's a very surprising thing to me. There's a point where, early in the film, Hogarth has come across the Iron Giant and actually sees him and starts running away from him. And he runs face first into a tree branch and falls over. And we see something we never see in a kid's film. We see actual blood, and it's coming out of Hogarth. Admittedly, it's just a bloody nose, but still, it was like, wow, Disney never does that.
Nope, you never see blood. Maybe a little bit sort of, the part of my shirt is slightly damp with this reddish-brown stuff, but I'm fine.
Yeah, pretty much not even that.
The other thing that surprises me is they use the term, Hogarth actually talks about death. Yeah. He explains death to the giant when they come across these two hunters in Maine. Hunters in Maine? What? Well, that's science fiction, right? And they shoot a deer. And all I could, deer with antlers, and the giant has just befriended the deer. The deer is sniffing his huge metal finger. No,
Max, you misunderstood. That he was trying to get the deer to pull his finger. That was
it. Well, he's been holding it in for a really long time. Yeah, probably. And then I have in my notes, Bumby's dad. No.
Well, and here's how you can tell this was not told from a Mainer's perspective. Because, of course, in Maine, where hunting is a normal thing, there wouldn't be that feeling about, even the hint that hunting is bad. Trust me, I grew up in Boston where hunting is bad, and now I live in Michigan where that's not the case. And people do explain that there's actually good reasons for this, not least of which is, well, we could not hunt, and then the overpopulation of deer could just starve to death through the winter. Would you rather have that?
But the negative emphasis isn't on the hunting. It's on the guns. I mean, as he says, guns kill.
Right.
You know, as the great comic Eddie/Susie Izzard says, the NRA says guns don't kill people. People kill people. I think the guns help. I mean, otherwise you're just jumping out and yelling, bang!
Oh!
And unless you're a bit dodgy about the heart, that's not going to do anything, yes.
I still think that is not an opinion that would come from somebody from Maine. I think that is an outside opinion. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I just think it's one of those things where the screenwriter at that point was a little blind to the realities of living in a state where that is a normal way of life, especially in the 50s. It doesn't make
the hunters seem evil.
No.
I mean, they're just ordinary guys.
Well, it does a little because
giant robot.
We like the deer too, and now those people killed it. So it kind of does. But, that's okay. Because, as we talked about, or I said earlier in the trivia, Brad Bird was like, what if a gun doesn't want to be a gun? And there's actually a point where the robot says, I am not a gun. He decides.
A couple of times, yep.
That's one of the big points of this film is free will and choice. But also it's about the weight of those choices. And I think that's a very adult thing as well. Besides the talking about death, there's a very adult idea of not only making a choice, but thinking about it and understanding what ramifications that choice might have. That's pretty heavy stuff for kids. That being said, I don't think it's a bad idea to tell them stuff like that early on.
Absolutely. I also don't think there's anything wrong with Hogarth explaining death. It's a great line in there. It's bad to kill, but it's not bad to die. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's remarkably deep. And then he tries to explain what a soul is.
Yeah.
And he does a fairly good job of it.
As best as anyone can, especially when you're 9 or however old he is. And, here, boy, that brings up an interesting question. Is that the definition of a soul, is when you decide you have one?
I don't know. I think his definition is you feel things and you think about things.
I mean, one could easily argue that the Iron Giant is a machine. There is nothing biological about him. And this gets into one of my favorite topics, like from Blade Runner on, is where is that dividing line between what we consider quote-unquote human and what isn't? And we did that film a long time ago, Swan Song, which was about a clone. And it's like, does it have the same rights that, and potentially quote unquote a soul? Can you clone a soul? Blah, 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 blah. What is, and that's pretty deep stuff for a kid's cartoon if we decide this is in fact a kid's cartoon, because I'm not entirely sure. But I do like it when makers of stuff that's ostensibly for children don't look down on their audiences. They actually give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's like, they can handle this. And I don't know. We'll get to where we think that kids can later on. Although neither Max or I has any, so why we get to decide, I don't know.
Because we're the ones with the podcast.
That's right. I will say
power is uncontested.
I will say this film does answer an age-old question. I know this has been bothering you for years. Do FBI agents poop in the woods? The answer is yes.
Yes, they absolutely do. And anywhere else they have to.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yep. How about that Agent Mansley? How about that name?
Yeah,
Kent
and that
Mansley. Yes, a chunk beef pile.
Well, and he's the essence. He is like basically the concentrated version of 50s hysteria. And luckily we know he's
entirely on fear.
He's going to get married and have a lot of little Republicans. But speaking of conspiracy theories, I'm thinking, red hair, works for the FBI. Oh, it's Fox Mulder's great-grandfather. Okay.
Yep. Not even great-grandfather. Could have been his dad.
Yeah, 57? Yeah, could be. Yeah, because Mulder must have been born sometime in the 60s. So, yeah.
The
truth is out there.
It is.
Trust no one.
Stepped in it. Except these kids.
Yeah, 3 kids on bikes, man. That's a deep one.
I mean, he says he goes out and investigates weird, unexplainable things. So sure, X-Files. Why not?
That's what I thought. I also say there's somebody in this who is part of this movie is a big comic nerd. And the reason I say that is because, sure, comic books show up, very popular for young boys in the 50s, but it's not that they're in there. It's what they chose. There's 3 in particular, one of which is Superman, totally understandable, and it becomes part of the plot. I get it. The other two, though, one of them is Mad, and they're very careful because at that point, they do depict Mad as a comic book because it was in 1957. Yeah. And the other one is The Spirit. The Spirit has never been a household name, really, but people who know Will Eisner's work love The Spirit, so it's like, somebody, there's something special in here, I thought. Did you notice those?
Yep, I did notice those. I was more impressed they used real comic books. I mean, oftentimes in kids' movies, they do things like, oh, here's Stupendous Man, or here's, ultra, super, mighty, groovy guy. Then they make their own up. Warner Brothers didn't own DC at this point.
Oh, yes, they did.
I guess. Oh, they did. So they owned so they could use them. Okay.
Yes, they could use Superman. Otherwise, yeah.
I don't know about Mad Magazine. Yeah.
Mad, oh boy. Mad was its own thing, but I know it was owned by somebody else.
And I'm sure they were going, you want to use us in a movie? Sure!
It might actually be Warner. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a nice touch. And I like how the Giant fixates on Superman and makes himself an emblem for his chest.
And it didn't make me cry. I didn't cry. I know never. Max might have, but I certainly did not.
It was really dusty where I was watching the movie, and that's all. That's it. Lots of pollen. Yes. They were. I shed a single manly tear.
A mansley tear.
A mansley tear. Yes.
Speaking of Mans, I want to come back to him real quick.
Yeah.
Boy, is he evil. He chloroforms a kid.
He does, and he gives him the 3rd degree, light shining in his eyes. He threatens his mom, for God's sake.
And he threatens to take him away from his mom.
Yes.
That's horrible.
It really is. And that's and it breaks Hogarth, and you completely understand.
Well, when you're bullying a 9-year-old, quite honestly, if you're not successful, I mean, you need to turn in the name Mansley, but still, it's just it's not hard to tromp on a little kid. Like, come on. But we need a villain in this film, and he represents, quite honestly, not just the government at this point, but he represents paranoia and anxiety of the times.
He represents all the worst part of the Red Scare, which was mindless fear and the need to lash out.
I gotta say, though, the general is actually pretty cool, because the general, played by John Mahoney, at one point is like, whoa, let's calm down. Atomic weapon? No, we're not going to do that. And he actually calls it off. So it's Mansley who grabs the microphone.
He's not the warmonger, and he's the one who actually knows the consequences, because when the missile is coming directly at the town, Mansley's going, we can duck and cover. There's a shelter over there. And the general just looks at him and like, are you out of your mind? There's nowhere to hide from this.
No.
And he says, we will stand here and we'll face our fate for our country.
Yeah.
And Mansley's like, forget our country, I want to live.
In a way, it's a very small part, but that general character is kind of optimistic. It makes you feel like somebody can go through that and actually learn from it and go, maybe just like shooting the first thing that moves, maybe that's not such a good idea. Maybe we should stop. And again, we're talking about choice and ramifications. I guess that's sort of a central theme of this film, which, usually it's just kids film. The theme is, did I get the cookie? Like,
adults dumb, kids rule.
Yeah. And, or where can I buy the toy? Which there was an Iron Giant toy. Let's be fair. So, what did you think about the pacing of this film, Mac?
I think it works. I think it moves along very nicely. It gets a little frenetic at the end. A lot happens in a short time. But I think when it slows down, it's to develop the characters. And I think that really works. And I want the characters to be developed. And I'm interested in them. I wanted to know more about Bean's backstory. How do you become a hipster in friggin' Maine?
I mean, my impression was that he came from somewhere else, but there's nothing to support that because he owns a junkyard, so who knows? But yeah, I also think Dean's going to be like the best dad, because he's not going to hold Hogarth back from anything. He's like, hey, you want to go explore that, man? You just go right ahead. I don't think he's going to be like not paying attention to him. He's just going to be like, you should find out what you want.
Yep. You want to go to see what the far end of this junkyard? I'll go with you. Let's go find out. Let's have an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He won't stifle him. He won't stifle his creativity. Yeah.
No, I think he's going to be a great dad. And, maybe he can, maybe one of these days he'll just wipe off that little thing that's sticking
a
on
little
his...
smear on his chin. Yeah. Yeah, buddy, you got a little something right there, right there.
Yeah, he's not too cool for school, which is pretty
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a fairly leisurely pace up until the point where it's like, the giant robot. But I actually appreciate the fact that the first time the town sees the giant robot, it's literally there are two kids that glimpse it on the top of a building. How they got up there, quite honestly, not all that surprising for kids because they just find ways to do things. But they fall
Especially
off
in
the building.
50s. Yep.
They fall off the building. The giant leaps into town and catches them. And the townspeople are like, oh, look, he just saved our kids. Oh, that's really cool. This giant robot just saved our kids. And they want to panic because it's a giant robot, but they're also like, well, I guess it's okay because it saved our kids.
Look, he's holding that other kid in his hand and he hasn't crushed him.
Which, to be fair,
they're actually...
it's probably pretty accurate for Mainers. I honestly think that if a giant robot showed up, it'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a giant robot. I ain't seen one of those before.
I thought that was one out by the Callis place back in 81, but
No,
could
that
be
was a
wrong.
water tower. You don't remember it, right?
Nope, you're right there. You're right. Exactly. They are very hard to shake.
Yeah. No offense to Mainers. It's just
No, they're very laconic, very calm people.
But I'm glad we don't dwell on that, especially because it's at that point, like you said, at that point in the movie, things start to move really fast because it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? Oh no, Mansley's here. Oh dear God, they're launching a nuclear missile from offside. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And spoiler, the robot goes to stop the missile. Another point where I did not cry. Not at all.
I didn't tear up at all. I never did.
There's nothing emotional.
Didn't do it the first time. Didn't do it this time. Shut up.
You
all cried.
What is it about animated movies, especially Pixar films in general? It's just like
that.
Damn you, Pixar! Damn you, Pixar!
That to me is always the mark of a really good Pixar film. If it makes me cry, even at just the silliest, the strangest little moments. Sometimes it can just be one line, and that's all it takes.
I'm still most mad at Up because they do it to you in the first 10 minutes. It's like, oh yeah, we're not going to wait.
Oh, Up was just, hey, I swear to God, they were sitting around, hey, let's make them all cry before the story even gets started.
Hey, you like this guy?
It's up there with,
he's got a nice wife. Oh, she dies.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Yep. Yeah. To me, it falls in line with that whole theory that Walt Disney secretly hated all children and always put something in his animated movies that was guaranteed to traumatize them.
Get to the part where you pee.
Yep.
So
it's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, it is a very quick ending. The film's not long. I think it's like an hour and a half, not even.
A little under that, yeah.
Which is fine. But there is something about animated films that can somehow touch us more deeply than live action. And this is an example of that. The thing is that was then. This is now, and that's a big difference. Max, you got anything else before we get to the now part?
No, I think I've covered most of it. The finish.
So, Max.
What? Who said that?
Yeah, because we haven't done this 338 times, plus specials.
Yeah, well.
So, you saw it back in the day. What did you think of it back then? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember really liking it. I thought, this is gorgeous. Why don't more people know about this? Although, I got to admit, I'm kind of along with what you said about the animation. For some reason, it's really close to being absolutely perfect, but it doesn't quite get there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Does that bother you, though?
No, it doesn't. I think it's really good the way it is. On the one hand, I'd say, I wish we had a sequel because the ending leaves it open for that. But I'm also kind of glad we never did.
Yeah, I'd rather imagine what the Giant and Dean and Annie grow up and are like, and maybe a better world. Who knows? That'd be nice.
I'd like to think so. But yeah, leave it to the imagination.
But what do you think now? Do you think this holds up?
I think it definitely holds up. I think the messages are still solid. Mindless fear. Oh, yeah, we don't have any of that anymore.
No, we got rid of it in the 50s. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. Now everyone is wonderful and happy and big, beautiful things. But
I wish I wish I were a fish.
Yeah, that's pretty timely too, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Except if people are like, I wish I were a fish. 6-pack plastic rings.
Oh, thank you, Max.
Anytime. Come on, everyone. Imagine
The
Don Knotts as a
timeliness.
fish being choked to death on a plastic ring. It's fun.
Timeliness of the incredible Mr. Limpet.
Yep. I think it absolutely holds up. I think it still works. It still makes me tear up. I think it definitely works. What about you? Still hold up for you?
No.
Liar.
It does. It's a fun film, and it's one of those films that I think what happened was the few people who saw it and liked it, it came and went, and then it was a little bit later, they're like, hey, what happened to that? And it actually started gaining, I wouldn't say cult status, because I think it's more popular than that, but it started getting re-released. They recorded commentary with Brad Bird. They did deleted scenes, the whole thing. They brought it to Blu-ray. And I think it's actually, in a way, more popular now than it was when it came out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I totally would put it up there against other animated features of today, especially some of the more recent Disney films, which have been wanting, I think, where we see that. Now, and to be fair, I was about to say, because we've seen this story before, with Iron Giant, we have seen this story before. There is nothing new in this story. In fact, if you like this story, watch How to Train Your Dragon, because it's the same story. The thing is, in both those cases, the reason we don't care is because the story is told so well.
Yeah, and the
characters are really cool.
We like them.
And it's like, oh, a big something from somewhere else shows up, a little kid befriends it, understands it, and has to convince the adults that it's not bad. The tale as old as time.
I mean, come on, Gamera doesn't mean to step on people. He's just lonely.
Yes, he does.
Even giant turtles get lonely.
I mean, I suppose you could stretch that metaphor to Gamera. I wouldn't, but you could.
Probably not.
Yeah, I think that if you showed this to your kids now, that the kids would still like it. They would be disappointed because afterwards they'd say, "Where's the giant Iron Giant toy?" And they're currently aren't any except eBay, and they're hundreds of dollars, I'm sure. But yeah, I think it is an overlooked, sadly, one of a number of overlooked features from Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Cats Don't Dance. Again, I wouldn't give it an A. It's a solid B, but there's some great animation. I like the story and I like the characters in it. Heck, it basically references Gene Kelly. How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah.
Unless you're talking Xanadu, in which case you can go wrong with that. But yeah. But you can't go wrong with, and that is our poll question.
Ooh, very true.
See what I did there? That was actually one of my better ones.
Huh?
It was a segue, Max. You get on
one
it.
of those electric scooters?
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway, we would like to know, what is your favorite animated film feature? Yeah, let's go with feature. I don't want to go shorts, but hey, if you can't think of one and you're like, no, a short will do, that's fine. I don't care. How can you answer us, you might ask?
How do you answer? I might ask.
Oh, dear. He reads the stage direction every time. All right.
Remove
so you
glasses,
can email
look
us.
concerned.
Thanks, Ted. You can email us directly at us@maxmikemovies.com. We love to hear from you. Hey, you don't even have to just answer the poll question. You could give us some feedback, whether you liked the show or you didn't like the show. We've
Just like
some,
Julia Roberts.
Real Julia Roberts. That's the only way we're getting away with this, is if we include the word real.
Yeah.
You can give us some feedback. We've had some listener mail that we've put up on the show, so we'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
You can go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, where we have all of our episodes. You can comment there, talk to Vince, talk to Cheeseboy, who shows up sometime, comment on the show itself, or give us an answer to the poll question, whatever you see fit to do. You can also call our hotline and win a date with Max, if that's really what you want. 617...
We go date!
617-398-7266.
We go date! Date!
Yeah, sure. If you would also like to listen to podcasts like you might be doing right now, I hope you probably already know about the myriad of podcast apps that have us on there, and we can be found at Max Mike Movies. And hey, for a couple other entries on the social media list, we have, of course, Facebook, Bluesky, and Mastodon, where I don't think anyone's found us. In fact, I haven't even found us on Mastodon yet, but there you can do the same thing. Answer the pod question? Answer the poll question.
Here, answer this question. It's not a pod.
You can answer the poll question, give us feedback, etc., etc. But we are not done with this series. Max, what film are we going to add to the lists next week?
Well, I don't like to use the actual title of this movie because I believe it involves body shaming. This is about the protoplasmic mass of size. Originally called...
I beg your pardon?
All right, I'll use it. I apologize as the blob. Or, excuse me, the blob.
Okay.
Contains 50% more Steve McQueen.
Okay. Does it leap and creep and glide across the floor right through the door? A splotch, a blotch. Be careful of the blob. That blob?
I thought it, rolled downstairs alone or in pairs and made a slinky
That's
sound.
Slinky.
Damn it! Okay, we're going to watch the Slinky movie instead.
Is this the film where we're supposed to believe that Steve McQueen is a 30-year-old freshman in high school?
Yep, that's right. Gosh, it's hard being in high school.
I happen to know, too, this film must be good because it's part of the Criterion Collection.
Oh, well, there you go. I've never seen it. I'm so looking forward. Find out how much we love it.
Next week, Blob with us.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.